the race is never over is pretty much how
Nope.
crypto can be summed up as. Let's see here. What do we have going on? Um, let's start with asking just a few simple questions. For example, what sets SafeTrade apart from other exchanges?
Sure, yeah, that's a good one to answer. Um, first of all, I gotta say I'm very impressed. Last night, just around midnight, uh, Sean called me. I got a call from Sean, and he's like, "I want to get to know you," and that's the first time that's ever happened to me in my life from a man or woman. So yeah, I was pretty impressed. Thank you, Sean. That's
You're
also how I know I've made it big time when people are
at
calling
midnight.
me. Yeah, it was 1 a.m. for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, actually.
Wow, that was intense. That was yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I think the best way to describe that is basically describe how SafeTrade was started. We started our SafeCoin project back in February of 2018, and uh, similar to a lot of projects, we didn't really want to be listed on exchanges to begin with. And eventually, the problem with that is then as your project becomes more popular, other exchanges list you. So we ended up getting listed on an exchange called Expo, and it did an enormous amount of volume. We were their most popular coin, and it held a whole bunch of Safecoin and Bitcoin and Doge and other coins. And you guys can probably guess what happened next. Expo exit scammed. They disappeared. All the Safecoin was stolen. All the Bitcoin was stolen, and people were shattered.
Oh,
And so the original intention of Safecoin was not to be an exchange coin, but when that happened, we decided that if we were going to be on an exchange, that we were going to run the exchange. And the exchange was built with the intention of protecting the community. That's really what it was built for, is to make sure that the community can trade on there safely and not have to worry about trust issues with a lot of the other exchanges, which often list startup projects.
hmm.
So that's probably the biggest difference between SafeTrade and other exchanges. There's lots of differences. There's lots of little differences, but that's the fundamental difference. Is SafeTrade was made specifically to protect projects. We were fed up with the scams, and we were fed up with being taken advantage of, and that's why we made SafeTrade.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, with basically with exactly what you just said, with having certain specific projects being able to come in or do the thing, or startup projects, how do you determine which projects you actually get added to the exchange? Is there like a
Yeah,
list
well,
or a process or?
yeah, we've never charged a listing fee. SafeTrade in its entire history has basically tried to pick projects which we believe in, um, and communities that we think are important to us and want to protect. The, when we listed Verus, I mean, it was important for us for the Verus community to succeed. Actually, our two projects have always had a lot of similar investors, and uh, it was very important to us that Verus succeed without having to deal with any more issues with exchanges. So we were asked to come in and help out, and it was the same kind of thing. Any projects that's listed on SafeTrade, the intention is to allow that project to continue to develop and grow without having to worry about where its funds are.
Fantastic, fantastic. Um, so yeah, as now as far as because I know well, obviously SafeCoin is on SafeTrade. There is what are your what's like what's your solid plans you have for near future and a little bit in the future for SafeCoin itself? Like where would you like to see it go?
Sure, yeah, and I'm fine with talking about SafeTrade too, but I do appreciate it. I'm always happy to talk about SafeCoin. um, I think one of the things we want to do is work with other great projects. So if you look at the top ranked coins in the world,
Mm,
most of those projects, they're all about interoperability right now and uh, finding ways to work with other projects. So, I mean, not necessarily partnerships because we're all decentralized, but um, we find ways to interoperate or work with other projects that we believe in, and Verus community is definitely one of those for us. We share a lot of common history in our code, and um, yeah, so that's one big goal with SafeCoin, is to be able to be a safe place for other projects to work with.
okay.
Uh, we want other projects that we're networked with to succeed as well. So that's a kind of a fundamental goal that we want to have with SafeCoin. More specifically, we originally created SafeTrade to protect communities. Uh, we've recently realized that the landscape has changed with regards to centralized exchanges.
Okay.
So we are in the next. I'm hoping. Maybe I'm not gonna say the time. In the near future, we are putting out a decentralized exchange, and it's not going to replace SafeTrade, but it is just sort of that next version,
Okay.
and that will be built on top of the SafeCoin chain. And the SafeCoin chain is also being changed. We're changing our code base entirely, and it is so that we can better support this.
Nice.
So yeah, uh, our mandates and our goals have not changed at all, but our technology, we're completely swapping out all our technology in order to better serve those goals in the future.
Fantastic. Well, it's actually really good to hear. Um, and as far as it's like you were saying with with having great projects like Verus on your site, we have with our main net right around the corner for PBAS and for the rest of the ID type system to be up and running. Um, any any possible future with Verus as a KYC measure if that is ever a thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, first of all, SafeTrade is a no KYC exchange, so that's a whole issue in itself. Uh, if if optional KYC was ever offered, we'd want to do it through decentralized means. So definitely, we're very open to looking at an integration with Verus for that. Um, Probably another starting point, I think, which I'm looking at more near term,
Mhm.
is the Verus IDs. This has been brought up with a few team members from Verus have pointed this out to our community, and I know it's being looked at with SafeTrade. Um, Probably the easiest one is setting up withdrawals to Verus IDs, right? So you can withdraw to a Verus ID. It's a nice, simple use case, which is not that hard for an exchange to integrate.
Hmm.
So that's something I would say that's probably more near term than KYC that we can probably
Okay.
do. Um, and the next easiest would be deposit addresses. Using Verus ID for deposit addresses. Um, and yeah, so I think those are both something that we can implement in the near term, um, on on SafeTrade and on our new decks as well. I think it should be possible to do. Now there's some questions about that because dexes are all tokenized. So I mean, there's a little bit to look into there. But that's kind of what I'm thinking we'll see first in terms of various use cases, and then
Hmm.
the KYC uh, should also be possible. That we just get into questions as to whether or not we want KYC and where we would use KYC. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Alrighty. Now, as far you touch on a little bit about safe nodes, I was kind of cruising through your Discord, and I have just a lot of people talking about safe nodes. I'd like to hear more about them.
Sure, yeah. So uh, safe nodes, I'll start off by saying safe nodes are actually getting deprecated with our old chain, and they're going to be rebirthed on the new chain. Um, I will talk about the old safe nodes
Okay.
because there is it's we're kind of sad to see them go. What they use, they're based off of DPoW with Komodo. And so, with Komodo DPoW, basically you get protection from the Bitcoin network. So it works out to you usually within 10 or 20, every 10 or 20 minutes, your chain is completely secured right off of the Bitcoin chain uh, through through a network from Bitcoin down to Komodo down to one of the asset chains such as Verus, etc. Um, what the safe nodes do is they actually tie to multiple blockchains. So they get protection from Bitcoin, Ravencoin, Bitcoin Gold, and we were looking to expand that. And so basically, within a 10 or 15-minute period, to double spend SafeCoin, you would have to double spend Ravencoin and double spend Bitcoin Gold and double spend Bitcoin all at the same time, and then you could double spend SafeCoin. Uh, so that was kind of the idea behind it. It took us a long time to develop. We were very proud of it, and it still works really great today. And the kind of hope was to build sort of a whole interoperable network where everybody could protect everyone. So different projects could protect other projects. That was
Yeah.
kind of the idea behind it. We are probably going to try to implement something similar on our new chain, but it's going to take a lot of work. We're starting from scratch.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what they are.
Alrighty. And so when you're saying with the new chain, so you're going to be doing a swap for regular
We
people.
are, yeah, we're going to do a swap to a new chain. I'd say it's about 95% done right now. It is working. So probably, I hate to give, it's going to be probably within the next 72 hours. Within the
Fantastic.
next 72, I said that same thing last week, the disclaimer. But I'm
Yeah.
saying within the next 72
72
hours,
hours.
yeah,
Yeah, two
we're
more
gonna
weeks.
swap to the new chain, and
Okay.
yeah, the chain's working right now, and basically it will be it's the same basic concept as we're looking to form good relationships with other projects,
Mhm.
strengthen the crypto community, and provide a level of security for people to develop in.
So for example, so say I have SafeCoin in my wallet on your exchange. Will I have to do anything for the
Yeah,
swap?
yeah, you will. You'll have to actually physically swap over.
Okay.
And we talked about this a lot. And the thing is that we don't actually want to force people onto the new chain. It should be their choice because somebody may want to take the old chain and start a movement with it. So really, that's up to them.
Okay.
And it could happen. So there's a Ravencoin Classic out there right now. I just found that out.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember. Funny enough, actually,
yeah.
I was at the Free State Blockchain Decentralized Assets Conference with Bruce Fenton in 2017 when he announced Ravencoin. He did it so nonchalantly. He was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you can just go to this website and the chain's live about 5 minutes ago," and then just walks off stage. So like
Yeah.
anybody and everybody that had a laptop inside that place was just like Ravencoin. What is Ravencoin? Bruce said
Oh,
something, but he's a very nice gentleman actually. Been out to his house
oh
up in
yeah.
New Hampshire. Really nice guy.
Oh yeah,
You really wouldn't think he'd be that down to earth, but he is. um, so
which
as
is
far
great.
as
Yeah.
so yeah, so we have the swap coming up in the 72 hours, and and so your safe nodes are going to be that's something a little bit later down the line that are going to get rehashed into the new chain. Let's see here. We've talked about KYCing, which obviously that's not a thing with SafeTrade now. Is that obviously it's a choice that you have made for SafeTrade. Now, have you had any pushback or anybody calling you up on your phone saying you need to implement KYC or anything?
So far, I just get people messaging me asking me to promise we won't add it. But um, yeah, so safe trade at this time is no KYC, and obviously, the regulatory world is changing quickly.
Yeah,
So, safe trade currently operates offshore. It operates entirely offshore and is owned offshore. Um, and basically it does everything it can to protect people, really.
good.
Now, having said that, uh, we are going to also put a decentralized exchange out there very shortly, and um, that is a little different. Like, a lot of the decentralized exchanges don't have KYC, so
Well,
um,
who's actually keeping the data?
right, it's all non-custodial, or if it's a proper decentralized exchange, then it's all non-custodial. So yeah, I think if we do, I don't think SafeTrade would get into KYC until our DEX is out, right? Like, there always has to be a non-KYC option. So if SafeTrade ever did, it would be after the DEX was out. I still don't know if it ever will. And if it did, it would be only for fiat onboarding. Like um,
For purchase. I was actually
to
that
and
was another
from
thing I was
fiat.
going to
Yes.
ask too. Is that something up in the air? It's been discussed with the team at all about implementing any type of fiat on ramp or?
Yeah, we were extremely close to putting it out 2 months ago.
Hmm.
But then uh, you know, we got a little bit scared just of regulations and stuff. We thought, let's hold off on that just for a bit. And we've been really focusing on the uh, the new chain, the decks we're working on, um, and also uh, other areas of. So, for instance, we want to add stable coins first. So I think we're going to probably start with stable coins. Um, we might even we'll see. We have 2 upgrades coming right now, but I think you might see stable coins on Safe Trade today or this weekend.
Oh wow!
So yeah, we thought we'll start with those, and then go from there.
If you don't mind me asking, what pairs are you thinking?
Uh, well, I think we're going to start. So the first step of the stable coins is actually launching an ETH pair, right? So we'll launch an ETH pair, and the first thing you're going to see is ETH BTC. If people want ETH Verus, ETH Safe, then we're going to add those. So it's just, if there's demand for it, if people want it, we'll add them.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that's on, then we're thinking of probably USDC as the first one. The reason we like USDC is it's compatible with Ethereum, but it's also compatible with our new chain. So you can run USDC on top of our new chain. So that'll work nicely with the DEX as well. So yeah, that's probably what we'll see is ETH pairs and then USDC, and then go from there.
Alrighty. I don't think I'd be doing my job if I didn't a little digging. But anything you might be keeping on the back burner, you might want to discuss or let out of the bag today, besides your
Sure.
72 hours and your text, but you have
Yeah.
actually disclosed a lot. So
Yeah, no, we're pretty open right now. There was a period in there's a period in December where we were kind of not able to discuss things, but come January, February, yeah, we pretty much are open book, and we want to stay like that all year. Yeah, so I guess SafeTrade's being in contact with CoinMarketCap. So a lot of that is thanks to all of the great contributors in this channel and elsewhere from Verus. Verus has done a lot for SafeTrade as well. So we're very thankful for that. And so SafeTrade's looking at hopefully getting on CoinMarketCap soon. I have to put a disclaimer out. This is the 4th time we've been in the review process with CoinMarketCap. So it's never a guarantee, but this is definitely the furthest along SafeTrade has been.
Gotcha.
You're gonna. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, say that actually rolls into my question about TradingView, because I had sent a message off to them last night as well, and they said it was because it's we weren't on CoinMarketCap. So you just answered my question. So
yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Because as soon as I can, as soon as I can actually, that's my biggest thing. Once I can finally save a VRSC chart, that'll be the day that I will be the happiest boy in the world right there. So it looks like I actually have
TradingView has some pretty nice charts. Yeah.
They have great tools. They really do. There you go, sweetie. So sorry. So as far as we got a couple of questions here. Somebody asked, what is the daily max withdrawal currently on SafeTrade?
The daily max so it's coin specific. It's coin specific, but it's always been for most coins is kind of the equivalent. We try to make it the equivalent of about. Now I should specify there is actually no daily max. There is no daily max, but I think what they're referring to is manual review. Like when does it get manually reviewed? Anything over half a Bitcoin. We try to make it around half a Bitcoin gets manually reviewed. Sometimes it's higher than that. We tend to focus our attention on Bitcoin itself, like Bitcoin withdrawals over half a Bitcoin, because usually when somebody tries to do something malicious, they're trying to get Bitcoin. So that's kind of one thing we do watch. But usually the manual withdrawal happens pretty quick, and there's always somebody you can message as well, either before, during, or after, and get a quick turnaround.
Okay, good. Let's see here. Bishop actually has a really good question about inactive accounts. So, about how long does it take an account on Safe to become inactive, and do they get purged?
So we don't, but we also keep in mind we're no KYC, so we don't actually have any information in the account. So there's not we don't, we're not keeping driver's licenses or anything like that.
No. Say for example, there's 100. I hate saying Doge, but say there's 100 Doge in the account, right?
Yeah.
And then it hasn't been touched for 5 years. What happens to that account?
Yeah. Still there. Yeah, still there.
Alrighty.
Yeah. There is. So some people have had trouble getting back. So about a year and a half ago, we did a major upgrade and changed our authentication system. So sometimes people have, if your account is more than a year and a half old and you've never used it since then, you do have to go through kind of a re-authentication process. But I mean, yeah, all your funds are still there. Right from when we launched, everybody's balance is still there.
That's fantastic. And I can see, I'm not going to call you a small exchange, but say, I can kind of see, if this was like Coinbase and you've got, 200,000 inactive accounts, it's a lot of data they're just going to store. So, but alrighty. Looks like what else do we have here? So we had Bishop asked about SafeTrade, and then we had our Daily Max question. Kind of slow coming from our regular group. Let's see, we got Sonio de Volere currently typing, but let's go with will there be a focus on up? That's another. Actually, I was actually just bringing. Will there be any focus on updating the UI itself?
Yes. So, SafeTrade's due for 2 major upgrades.
Okay.
Now, rarely in crypto do you hear schedules moved up. But because SafeTrade is currently working with CoinMarketCap, there is a technical requirement to do those 2 upgrades immediately. So actually, SafeTrade will be going through 2 upgrades this weekend, hopefully today. And those upgrades also include significant UI improvements, specifically targeted at mobile.
Oh, perfect.
So better Android and iPhone experience is really where the focus is on those. If you want to see where SafeTrade is at with its upgrades, and this is also actually where often you can get new features added or experimented with, is there's a site beta.safetrade. That's the development site for SafeTrade. You can go in there and actually request $1 million, and you'll be given $1 million, and you can trade it. You just can't withdraw it. Yeah, so beta.safetrade is going to be very active this whole weekend. And what you will see from that is a vastly improved UI. Now, of course, there's still going to be improvements needed, but you're going to see a very, very improved UI, especially for mobile users, by the end of this weekend or earlier. And also some additional features which you'll see your ability, you'll be able to adjust more yourself, more straightforward withdraw address registrations, things like that, better email handling. So yeah, lots of improvements. They were going to come 2 weeks from now, but they've been pushed up to this weekend, so that because at the end of the 2 upgrades, we'll also have automatic integration with CoinMarketCap. And that's why we're pushing them up, is so that by Monday we'll have automatic integration with CoinMarketCap.
I have to step away just for one moment, but if you could touch on the exchange APIs and what you might be able to do with them.
Sure. Yeah. We actually have fully complete, like all the API information is. Sorry, all the API features are there, so you can do everything with APIs that you can on any major exchange. We have not published them all, and it's not that we're small, right? So we're a little cautious. Best way to play around with the APIs is actually to message SafeTrade support, and they'll give you complete access to how all of them work. There's full documentation available. It's not online, but it's fully documented. And yeah, you can go ahead and use the APIs without an issue. SafeTrade itself does not do any bot trading. We don't use the APIs ourselves to do any automated trading. We just really don't believe in it. But it's there, and you can use it. So yeah, just message SafeTrade support and go ahead and integrate.
Okay, since Santos is still stepped out, let me step in for him. First of all, I want to remind everyone, also on YouTube, if you want to be eligible for rewards, get into Discord. I just posted in the channel how to get there. go to the questions and follow the directions that are pinned. That's one. Second of all, good questions will be rewarded with Verus. So if you have a good question, you can have Verus. And then my question for Jeff, which will not be rewarded with Verus, by the way. Do you plan to make any instructional videos on how to use your exchange?
That's a good question. Yeah, we definitely need more of that. I think we have some older ones which are probably outdated. So yeah, instructional videos would be very, very helpful. And of course, then you get into language translations too. But yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think videos are probably the easiest way to learn about crypto. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. A question from Ben Hammer. He has bad internet, and SafeTrade keeps logging him out when there's a bit of lag. Is there any fix on your side that you can implement to avoid that?
So it logs him out with bad internet. Probably that's hard to answer in an AMA only because we'd have to see the specifics. Like, is it to do with the internet connection or is it to do with a timeout? We do hear of occasional issues with certain users, and sometimes we just have to figure out what that issue is. But usually, like, we're pretty open to making it work better. So we're always looking to improve it. I think first step would just be, message us and kind of explain the issue, and we'll kind of work to solve it. Even in these 2 upgrades we're doing this weekend, a lot of the authentication is redone. So there's a very likely chance that after our upgrades, the issue goes away.
Sorry about that, gentlemen. Alrighty.
I took over for you in the meantime, but take it away. The ones with a money back below them have been answered and rewarded.
To getting the event roll. I'm trying to here. Let's see. We're getting into the event roll. Can you expound on that a tiny bit? So we're going to be benefiting from the rains. Just trying to figure out what.
Yes, we have an event. We have an event role created especially for this, so that people that are actively participating in the event, going into the channel and adding themselves to the event role, are actually eligible to receive rewards in range, etc. If you happen to type and I see anyone that has not got the event role, I will add it as soon as possible. But in case I overlook you, that's not intentional. But you can do that yourself. How to do that is pinned in the questions channel.
There you go. Bishop asks, what is one site feature you are hoping to get added? And what about the site feature makes it exciting for you? Something that's not added to SafeTrade, but you might have had on the burner for a little bit, or some little project you've been working on.
Okay. Well, I'll cheat a little bit here because I would definitely like to talk about Verus as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mentioned this earlier, but I do think it'd be pretty cool to implement the Verus IDs. So that's something I think that we could see in the near term. First of all, having Verus ID withdrawals, then Verus ID deposits. Other features you'll see are, an improved UI, especially for mobile this weekend, ETH pairs, and stable coins. So those are all near term. Something else that we're interested in when we haven't quite got our heads around it yet. So we're gonna, like everybody else, we're gonna, we're waiting a little bit to see what happens here. But it'd be cool to see if we can do some integrations with what Verus is doing with swaps to see if we can actually, because it's really all about interoperability. And centralized exchanges are what they are, but one thing they are good for is integrations. It would be really cool to see if we can do an integration with the markets that Verus is creating.
Okay.
So that's something we might look at.
So as far as like using the Verus IDs and stuff, do you have like a bounty program for any of our community and our developers to come in and help, or?
Does SafeTrade have a bounty program? We could, yeah, we could do something like that.
Perfect.
SafeTrade is
people
probably
you up.
SafeTrade is about 90% open source code.
Oh wow.
So it's almost entirely open source. So yeah, there's probably something we could work out. I mean, we have lots of bounty programs in SafeCoin. Just because of the security around exchanges, we don't have the same community involvement in the code, and it's just because we try to avoid incidences. But it is very, very possible to like say, okay, here's the section of code where we do our deposits and our withdrawals, and from there, yeah, we could potentially do a bit of a bounty to integrate to Verus IDs, because I think nobody knows it better than the Verus community.
That's what we do. So like we have one here. Looks like somebody's asking if you're planning on starting any liquidity pools or staking pools as part of SafeTrade.
I think so, yeah, and I think we'd like to have SafeTrade as a hub, right? Like it's kind of, I mean, centralized exchanges, they're centralized, so you might as well have them as a good hub. So yeah, I think definitely having integration with Verus's liquidity pool, for instance, would be something we'd want to do. I can't put a timeline on it because obviously all of this is very new, but it's something we're interested in. Now, staking is a little tricky. So, and that's where a lot of it comes down to, we'd be looking at Verus community consensus. So right now, SafeTrade does not stake Verus, right? We have, we have Verus wallets open. We don't stake any Verus. And it's just because of conflict of interest, right? We don't want to create a conflict of interest staking Verus. Now, of course, if you set up a staking program for users, the only concern is that you are then encouraging the community to hold their Verus on an exchange. And because SafeTrade was actually built to protect communities, we're hesitant to add that feature. I mean, we would do, like, if that's what the community wants, we would do it. But we probably would not initiate that ourselves because we don't actually. We've been asked to with SafeCoin too. We've been asked, can we get staking rewards for SafeCoin on SafeTrade? We don't actually encourage keeping crypto on centralized exchanges.
I was funny enough. I was going to ask you last night while I was. So there is a safe. So obviously there's a SafeCoin wallet, or is a third party. So there is an actual wallet. Okay. Let's see here. Any desire to offer deposits and withdrawals for Verus?
Do they mean?
Do you have any want
for Verus ID?
Implement the Z addresses, the private addresses, to be able to.
Oh, the Z addresses.
Yes.
Yeah, we are completely set up for that. We can do privacy withdrawals and deposits if people want. So yeah, that's not an issue.
Okay. So if I was to go on, to like into my SafeTrade, there where it generates my my Verus address. Is
Yeah.
there an option for me to be able to have it generate a Z?
So we would have to, I mean, we would have to implement it, but we do have what so I guess like we say is the integration's already built. So like for instance, you know, we list Pirate and a number of other Arrow, a number of Z only coins.
Mm-hmm.
So the integration's there. It just you know, we would just need to implement it for Verus. And so yeah, if basically it's just if we see if there's a demand for it, we'll implement it.
Okay.
You know, my only comment on that is that when you it's something just the community needs, it's basically whatever the community wants, but when you implement privacy, the Z addresses on a centralized exchange, the centralized exchange will operate a little slower. Like it's going to take you a minute to do your withdrawal instead of 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So there's little tweaks. There's also a transparency compromise, right? Like right now you can see everything going into and out of SafeTrade. Now if we implement privacy for SafeTrade on Verus, you lose that. So it's a trade-off between transparency and privacy, and it's just really whatever the community wants. We have the ability to do it, yeah.
Okay. Don't mind me. Sorry, my cat is currently trying to smush one of my kittens.
Oh, that is cute. That's hard to beat. That's cute.
Hi, sweetheart. So like we've actually had a pretty good. gotta break it up with some cuteness. So it looks like we
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Don't make me bust out all 4 kittens. Let's see what other questions have we had come in.
Before you do any other questions, I believe Jeff also wanted to talk about Verus. So if he has any questions, I'd love
Please.
to.
Please, actually, yeah, ask away.
Sure, yeah. Well, here's a question. I'm interested actually in how, I'll tell you why I'm interested too. I'm interested in how people find Verus hash. Because in SafeCoin, something that we're going to be doing is changing algorithms. The new coin we're moving to is called Solana, and it uses SHA 256 hashes. It uses them in order to provide an extra layer of consensus. We're looking at swapping that out for a CPU only algo. We're trying to find a good proof of work algorithm which is very, very fair across different computers and which doesn't reward ASICs, etc. So I'd be curious how people have found Verus hash. We might actually consider using something like that in the future.
This question is most definitely probably directed over to Oink or Chris. But no, I think that would be fantastic. Yeah, and as far as CPU goes or usage, definitely Verus would be the way to go. You know, ASIC resistance. You know, purposely designed to make sure that ASICs aren't the number one. You know, fair. Fair mineable across any type of CPU. Hell, I got it mining on Raspberry Threadripper 2990. You know, it doesn't care what it's being mined on.
Yeah.
Was there any technical?
I need to specify something. Verus hash is not ASIC resistant. It is in theory possible to create an ASIC. Only Verus hash can be very easily adapted, which makes that expensive ASIC into a doorstop. It is it favors CPUs. It does not exclude GPUs or FPGAs. It's just so heavy on very specific CPU instructions that it takes a lot more energy on other devices to run it. For example, if you have a processor, a relatively common processor, a Ryzen 2600, for example, you get about 13, 14 megahash per second. And if you get a high-end video card, like a 1080 Ti or a 2080 Ti or above, you won't get to that even though you use double or even triple the amount of power or even more. So it is possible to use something else. It's just not as efficient as on the CPU. And that makes it very good for decentralization. Of course, you will always get CPU farms that jump in. That's unavoidable, especially if the power was cheap. But from a mining point of view, hell, you can even mine it on your phone if you get a decent phone.
Yeah,
That's
if I
awesome.
could chime in, the cost to hash ratio is best with CPUs, and then you can mine with all the other hardware, but it's just it costs more money per watt or per hash.
I've got to correct you there, Rosso. On an ARM device, on a phone, you can get a higher or equivalent or higher hash to watt ratio than on, for example, an Intel, the newest Intel processors.
Not AMD. The Threadripper beats it.
Yep, Threadripper beats it, but that's not a general processor.
Anyways, gentlemen, solve any of your question, Jeff, or?
Yeah, thank you. No, that's really encouraging. Yeah, we have sort of a potential novel use for it, and we are definitely looking at it. It looks like an incredible amount of work has been put into making that algorithm equitable, and it sounds like, you know, it's stood the test of time. So, yeah.
Yes, it
has.
Impressive. Anything else for us?
Oh, for me, to ask you. Yeah, actually, I'd be interested in, has Verus been, so I know Verus has sort of the ability to store and transmit data, and that's sort of being built right into the transactions. Has there been any use cases for that, or do you guys have some ideas on how we might be able to provide a reference implementation for
that? Actually, if you use Z addresses, you can standard accompany that with a message, or you can send a zero coin transaction with just a message. I actually did this earlier today. On Verus IDs, there is something called a VDXF, a Verus Data Exchange Format. And you can put information. It's an open format, so you can create your own keys and data sets where you can put in information, and that is hashed into a small hash and mined into the blockchain. So if you have an ID that's where you want to say, for example, safe.trade, https.safe.trade, something like that, you can hash that into that ID, use it as a placeholder, use it as a reference where to go. You can store all kinds of information in that, like attestation information, etc. But that's not transmissible unless you transfer the ID itself.
Okay, so it's based off of the ID.
Yes. What you can also, of course, always do if once you have enabled the IDs on SafeTrade and you send out something to another ID, if the user withdraws to an ID, you can send a message to, for example, ID name at colon private, and that sends the message to the private address that's attached to that ID. So you can do that in one transaction actually.
That'd be pretty cool.
No, wow.
Yeah, but
What
that
use cases
requires
SafeTrade use?
recipient to use Verus IDs.
Okay. So it sounds like we want to start. The starting point is really the IDs, which is not a surprise, right? Like it always starts with the kind of the authentication identity piece. So, yeah, I think that's something we can probably implement in the short term, and then it sounds like from there we can expand that once we have that foundation.
Sounds like we have a very bright future ahead of us. They're all asking each other about the iOS software. You had answered Bishop's question.
eBest chain. Bishop was asking a question: if SafeCoin is migrating to a new chain, would there be any thoughts in the future to migrate to Verus as a potential chain?
I think I would answer that by saying we want to do some integration with PBUS. So we're actually pretty far along in our migration to the new chain. The new chain's about 95% done right now. We're just basically tweaking the consensus on a little bit. So we did a fork of a chain called Solana. Solana has a lot of great features and a lot of centralization, a lot of disadvantages as well. We're basically stripping out all those centralized pieces and making it a more decentralized version of Solana. That's really what we're doing, because yeah, there's a lot to not like about Solana, and we're taking that out. One thing we'd like to do with that, though, is once we have our new chain on, and also with SafeTrade, is see if we can do integrations with PBOS. I think that's when you look at like what the top projects are doing, they're all doing interoperability. They're finding ways to connect to each other. So, we've definitely identified Verus as a project of the future that we want to work with and grow together with. And so I think we'd be looking at finding ways of crossing tokens over, for instance, across from and I need to learn more about PBOS too, and it's still evolving, right? But being able to move tokens across from PBOS to our chain, PBOS onto SafeTrade, PBOS onto our DEX, etc. Being able to have those tokens move across would be, I think, something we'd be extremely interested in. And I'm open to other suggestions. If people have other use cases that they think we should look into, we're very open to that.
Yeah, I think it would be very cool if you have your SafeCoin that you could transfer it over on the Verus blockchain as a currency, and then create liquidity pools with that.
Well, I think for sure we want to make a safe, like we won't actually, like we want to make I think we can make like a SafeCoin token. So if we can, I think that's something we want to do for sure, is create a SafeCoin token on there.
Which is definitely something you'll be able to do. Do you, Jeff? Have you used our new wallet, the desktop wallet, yet?
Oh yeah, yep,
Okay.
yep. It's actually quite beautiful, I have to say. It is. It's very, very nice.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
it's gone a long ways. It's almost like Yeah, it's one of the nicer wallets we've seen, and yeah, so we've created a few. We've created a SafeCoins and a SafeTrade Verus ID on that wallet. So if we get to use them in a future integration, we will. It's yeah, it's quite impressive, and again, it's got that interoperability, which is something we're interested in as well, is being able to like include different coins into the wallet. Yeah, it's really well done for that.
Well, that's another thing too. I was trying to think about was like, don't you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. With once we're mainnet lived, and PBAS is good to go. Say like for example, like the fees you would have between say I want to sell my Bitcoin, right? Or not. That's a bad one. One that doesn't have a pair. Say I want to sell my coins on your exchange for another coin, but there's no pair directly for it. Would there be a use case for the PBAS for us to basically like have almost like a no fee to interchange between them, or would that still require something on the order book?
Yeah, I think any exchange would be able to tap into the liquidity pools. For example, if they are running out of, if they want to do some market making themselves and they run out of funds of a specific kind, if they, for example, run out of, well, Komodo, for example, they could go into the liquidity pool through the liquidity pool of us and get them some Komodo. They would raise the price of Komodo at our pool, and they can use that. They can arbitrage if they want to, but they can also say, okay, I want to put some orders up for myself, or I can indeed facilitate a gateway, so to speak, to the Verus ecosystem, so they can exchange it over there. And with the low fees, if the normal SafeTrade fees would apply, there would still be something in it for SafeTrades. There would be some in it for our miners and stakers. And of course, the user could have gone through the Verus ecosystem themselves and be off cheaper. But you could do that as a service, but that would be a market trade. You can't do yeah. You could do limit trades, but limit orders, but that would be more complicated, and then you would have to wait for the rates to go up or go down, whatever you have set. But yeah, I can see that being possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeff.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we're open to that for sure. I mean, obviously, it's tricky. The liquidity pool is such a different model, right? But on the other hand, we're happy to see if we can find integration there. I'm starting to see this where there are exchanges out there which are sort of providing hybrid models where they incorporate liquidity pools into the exchange. So I know it can be done. And, SafeTrade is, disclaimer, if this is our fourth time going through the review process, but we are kind of hoping to get on CoinMarketCap soon. So, things could move fairly quickly if SafeTrade gets on CoinMarketCap here, and thank you for everybody who's contributed all the volume and all the support. But if we get on CoinMarketCap and then we can do kind of an integration where we incorporate that liquidity pool, you could have that liquidity literally showing up on CoinMarketCap within a very short period of time. We'd be willing to do that. And of course, I do understand that there's some technical challenges there incorporating liquidity pool into a limit order based system, but it can be done.
Okay.
Well, one question I had, it's Chris here, one of the community developers. Hi, Jeff. The
Hi, Chris.
what it is with your wallets being on the Verus network, you have the option now to open up your whole exchange to the Verus ecosystem, the whole Ethereum ecosystem, because any coin that wanted to come, say, Ethereum DAI, from the smart contract side of Ethereum could be converted using our smart contract straight to your exchange as Verus. So then you've basically opened your people on Ethereum to use your Verus wallet on your exchange as an interface. So you've basically added every single Ethereum ERC20 token to your exchange by having Verus on board, because if you can exchange, if there's a liquidity pool available on the Verus network that could go to your wallet from Ethereum, it sounds a great opportunity to me. What do you think of that?
Oh yeah, no, I completely hear what you're saying, and I think it's like just in terms of implementation for an exchange, we might just start with one pair just to get it working. But if we can get past that, yeah, I mean it opens up really all of Ethereum, which is great. Yeah. Yeah, I'd be open to it. I think it's like, would you actually, are you saying that the liquidity pool would actually list, so that pair would list on SafeTrade?
Liquidity pools to do the conversions to Verus, and then
Okay.
obviously because it's got its conversion capabilities in liquidity pools, then
Yep.
then all you see on your end is just a VRC transaction into the user's wallet. So it they can choose their favorite pair of Verus on your exchange, and you've basically you can mark, that should be something that's, you should tell your community. I would have thought that Verus has now brought the whole Ethereum ecosystem through its liquidity pools to your exchange, so it's a win-win, I think.
Yeah, oh for sure. I'm up for it. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk with you about that more and see if we can actually set up implementation for it, or at least education for it. It's we're very cognizant of the fact that the release is coming very soon, and definitely we want to provide as many implementations of it as we can.
Like, looks like you had a question pinned for you.
Yes, Project Override asked why did VerusCoin choose to work with SafeTrade? Actually, we did not choose anything. After the Altbit exchange was hacked, Decal came with the proposition, I can talk to the people from SafeTrade and see if they list them. And they did that without questions and in a very short amount of time. That's basically the start of communications between Jeff and VerusCoin. And we've been talking together on several occasions and helping each other, giving each other some pointers on, hey, you can do this, or can you check that, or I see something happening, you should check. that kind of stuff. So it's a very good cooperation from my point of view, and basically it developed after Decal got the wheels in motion.
Yeah, it's I think there's somebody in our chat. I won't point them out, but there's somebody in our chat I can thank for that, who kind of made the suggestion and encouraged us to go ahead. It's been fantastic, so I have them to thank as well. I think definitely again, like SafeTrade it was originally built as a tool to help projects succeed, and that's why we made it. And we're very happy to have it be used for that, so projects can focus on their development.
Amazing. Let's see here. What else do we have? I'm just kind of just reading through our community questions. So a lot of questions about running a Verus node. It's actually funny enough. Let me check our YouTube, see if there's any questions in there. Let's see here.
While Santos is running through the questions, are there any community questions about Verus? Maybe not necessarily directed to SafeCoin or anybody in particular, or when's new testnet? Actually, we just got an announcement on that recently. If you guys missed the announcement, it was on the 15th, and they said a week to 2 weeks. So go double check the announcements if you missed that.
This is when you know you're getting near the end of an AMA. Question: when Moon? Yeah, I think he just crashed out, Chris. You know what I think it is? He's on his phone. His phone may have just died. Let me shoot him a message maybe and see if he well, it says his phone's still on.
Yeah, maybe he
We're waiting to hear
received a phone
back from him.
call.
Like, did you want to touch on Komodo?
No, well, that's not something I can answer. That's really something Jeff should answer, because all I know about that is hearsay and gossip, and I'm in the habit of not repeating that kind of stuff.
All right. I'm gonna need somebody to hop out of here so he can hop back in.
Oh, that's a rough ask, man. Zal ik weggaan?
I was gonna say, yeah. If you're just watching, if you could hop over to the YouTube channel, that way we can free up this channel.
There's room now.
Maybe we got room for him now. Just waiting for him to hop back in. Oh, there he is. Just waiting for him to fire up a video. Hey, there he is.
While we're waiting,
Can you hear us? Oh, we can't hear you. See if your mic's muted. Oh no, we lost his audio.
Once he's yeah.
Try unplugging your headphones and putting them back in.
Santos, I think Bishop made a very good question. So as soon as Jeff is able to speak, maybe we can do that one.
That's fine. I was gonna bring that up. Yep. No, nothing yet, Jeff. You know what's funny? It shows him his mic stuck on. Jeff, I'd hate to say it, but can you try restarting Discord on your phone?
well, while Jeff is working on that, I would like to invite everybody to come next weekend. It's Saturday. There's another AMA, which is hosted by ID Crypto. This one's going to be in Telegram. So join the Telegram group. I can go ahead and post that link in the question channel.
All right, he's restarting his Discord now.
I love these AMAs, guys. It's great.
Hey, you know, this is probably one of the more smoother ones we've done. Is that safe? Yeah, it was. Okay, good.
Yeah, while we're waiting for that to get set up, Oink, did you or does anybody have any thoughts or questions or any demos or things that we wanted to show?
I got lots of thoughts, but this is not suitable for work server, so I'm not going to repeat them here. But I got no demos. Nobody came forward with something that they really wanted to see.
Yeah, that's
apart from how to trade on SafeTrade, but I got no funds to do that, so can't oblige on that one right now. Now, I do have funds, but I don't want to trade my VerusCoin. Let me put it that way.
So I just sent it over to him. The question as a text. I don't know what's going on with his mic, because it doesn't show him muted, but it shows him as constantly like it's on, like it's locked on.
Santos, do you have a video you can put on in the meanwhile? Buy a couple minutes.
Not ready and on hand. It's on the left-hand side. You got to close the pairs. They're doing the UI update. You have to click. Yeah, you can do that too. So he should be. He's currently texting right now, so we should have that answer.
Sorry, YouTube people, you couldn't hear me. I had my microphone faded down, but
No, we can hear you just fine.
no, YouTube people, I had it faded.
Oh
down
no.
because
So I have enough. So it was. Everybody knows currently right now we're having some issues with Jeff being able to get back into the call on his phone. His Bishop. I don't know if this is going to be a good enough answer for him, but his official answer is that I should reiterate the question stated is there seems to be a long, albeit questionable history with the Komodo ecosystem, i.e. NN's easy mining. Where does things currently stand in any hardships with Komodo? Jeff responds just very simply, very plainly, it's all in the past. Crypto is all about the future. And what I'm taking from that is that he's not holding. So don't know if that answered your question, Bishop, but that is the answer I received. Okay. And Banhammer, I'm actually about what this beef is, and like Jeff says, it's in the past. That's all I'm going to deal with it. Do we have? I'll ask the past. One second. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. See, I don't know if we're going to be able to really continue on. Did anybody have any like last minute questions or anything you might have been wanting to ask or pass along, or?
I just want to remind everyone, look out for the testnet when it does drop, and have fun using the features. There will be the help will be in the GitHub when you download. So if everyone's looking for the help, to install it, but then we've got the Wikipedia on the website for you get any if you want to explore all the API commands on the testnet. You've got obviously the community channel. The best one to go for technical questions is probably the PBash channel for any conversions, things like that. And what it is, if you need some currencies, just ask the community. If you want to have any help on any of your projects, ask the community, and setting up IDs. And then the Clubhouse is also, come on there if you can, and you can hear about what's possible. think
Yeah, I think he's having some difficulties because his phone just locked up again. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, no. Can you hear us? So yeah, so he can hear us, but we can't hear you.
Yeah, we can see your microphone is on mute when we look at your picture. Oh, there we go. That's gone now.
But no, here's the thing: when he unmutes, it just goes solid green, like the program's just displaying zero, nothing.
Is it plugged in all the way?
Have you tried unplugging it and plugging it back in?
Now that sometimes the microphone socket's not. Oh, it's not even plugged in.
Yeah.
Oh. Talk again?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you now. Here we go.
There we
if
go.
you wanted to go on a little bit about that with Komodo, that'd be fine. One moment, I gotta unlock my door.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. The Komodo questions. That's a fair question. I think we all just kind of, like, it was 3 years ago now. It's kind of amazing how time flies. But I think it's just so far in the past. We've all kind of moved past it. Obviously, you know, I mean, we were kind of the first fork of Komodo, and obviously we wouldn't have done that if we didn't have a lot of respect for their technology. So there was always a respect there, regardless for the technology, and yeah, we've just moved so far ahead of it now that I really don't think about it anymore. Yeah, we're definitely open to trying different.
The identity features are very powerful. And I also like to remind everybody the built-in decentralized referral program. Not only do you get a discount, you know, that the additional amount can go to the people who referred you and referred them, and it's a way to teach people and grow the network at the same time.
Yeah, I'm very open to providing implementations of it. I think we'd really like to do that, and yeah, I think there's some opportunities there. And
Well, I think at this point we should probably go ahead and maybe close the live stream and maybe
Rosa.
Yeah,
he was talking, bud.
Yeah, I
That's
knew
okay though.
him.
Can you guys hear
I
me?
think he was not. Yeah, we can.
Yeah, so we're definitely open to that. I think having the Verus IDs is something we could definitely implement and get things started that way. And from there, yeah, I think there's lots of opportunities with expanding the use, whether it's, you know, using the IDs for social platforms or crowdfunding, or authentication is another one, which would be pretty cool if we could get that going. So yeah, we're very open to that, and I think that's something we can at least get started with fairly quickly.
Fantastic. Alrighty. Now, Rosa, what were you saying?
I'm sorry. I didn't realize he was back, actually. On my screen, I didn't hear him, and I didn't see him, so I had to refresh.
Okay. As far as, let's take a look, see if we may have seen any last minute questions may have come. Let's see here. Will Verus build a better Discord?
Yeah. Well, what I can say is a testimonial in our trading channel. Kefek says SafeTrade works very well. I saw my VerusCoin there last week. It was painless and transferred in and out of SafeTrade fast. I was very impressed, and I think that's a big hoorah for SafeTrade. That users say that.
Yep.
Nice.
Personally, I've there are other exchanges I use from time to time, but yeah, my go-to is I use is SafeTrade. So I actually feel comfortable using it. And now it's a little bit weird, be able to put a face to the name of the exchange, but it is nice.
Yeah, I think business. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, you go ahead. Sorry.
Now, Business just asked, is SafeTrade worried about privacy coin regulations? And if no, why not? Last part is more.
Yeah, privacy. Well, I might ask, so is he referring to KYC? Or is he referring to...
I think he's referring to, there's just been a lot of crackdown lately on privacy coins in general, just regardless of what they are. It's just, if they obfuscate any information, they're pretty much getting cracked down on.
I see. Okay. So is he like in reference to, would that
Say,
be safe?
probably say for example, if you got a push from a regulator, asking you why you're hosting a certain currency or coin.
Yeah. Not at all. Not at all worried. So, okay, I see where he's going with that now in terms of privacy on SafeTrade. So SafeTrade is always going to be a privacy-focused exchange, and to be honest, we don't get a lot of pushback from regulators on that, because regulators also support privacy often, right? Like there's privacy laws. It's government's job to also allow citizens to have privacy. Who really doesn't like privacy is the banks. Like they really don't like privacy. So I mean that's where we could sometimes run into issues providing the level of fiat onboarding that we like. That's kind of the real compromise there is if for an exchange you kind of have to decide between being a privacy focused exchange or being a fiat on ramp. It's very difficult to be good at both because the banks will not support you. But in terms of regulators, it's not too bad.
Don't forget about the tax collectors don't like privacy.
It has that too. But so with you not splitting the exchange, but you having the decentralized, centralized version of SafeTrade, and you'll have the DEX. When the DEX is fully online, would there be would that give you more room to be able to say, screw it, let's just put the on-ramp on the main exchange while we still have a DEX?
It's an option. I think we have to see how it actually plays out, right? Like we need to spend some time with the DEX and see where things go. At this point, I think we just want to keep SafeTrade privacy focused. But I mean, if all of the privacy volume moved to the DEX, which is possible, if that happened, then you could turn SafeTrade into more of a fiat on-ramp. I mean, the two, SafeTrade and the DEX, were going to be, it's SafeSwap, by the way, but the two are going to be integrated together. Like they're going to have integration. Okay. So there'll be shared volume between the two of them. So I mean, that is possible. It's definitely possible that SafeTrade could become more of a fiat on-ramp in the future. But yeah, we'll see how things go. We'll see what people like. It's available.
Okay. Looks like Hollow Man. He's asking, will there be a warning when the DEX-SEX duality begins? So basically, you're gonna give your users like a little heads up, or is it going to be the same website with just an option to switch between the sex and the decks, or?
I've never actually done the centralized exchange abbreviations. I've never said it out loud before, but anyway.
It's kind of strange, isn't it?
Yeah. But it, yeah. Oh, there'll be tons of warning for sure.
Okay.
And so that's, I didn't want to make too much of a deal, but basically, the DEX is going to be operating on top of the SafeCoin chain.
Okay.
So basically, you're going to see a sequence of events where first off, once our swap starts, which should hopefully be within 72 hours, quote unquote, as soon as the swap starts, we have an obligation to reach out to anybody who could have ever been a SafeCoin holder. So we'll probably send an email out on SafeTrade to all our users, just updating them about what's happening with SafeCoin. And just so you guys know, SafeTrade very rarely sends out. It probably only sends out maybe 3 emails per year.
Yeah, the only emails I ever see are my deposit and withdrawal emails, and that's it.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, so that's just if we want to have an offline discussion, if there's things that Verus wants to share, we would consider including some of that in that email. We don't send out many notifications. There's 15,000 users on SafeTrade. But definitely let me know if there's things that SafeTrade could include in that email. But yeah, there will be an email basically notifying everybody that if you have any SafeCoin at all, now's a good time to swap it. You're going to have 60 days. So that's going to be the first warning sign. People will all, right now there's very little marketing about it. We're keeping things very quiet. That's the first thing you'll see. The second thing you will see is, yes, a notification that a new exchange has formed. And we'll probably start it very small. I believe if you start things small, you keep the risk limited, lots of testing, and then grow it out from there.
Smart. Okay. Well, we actually got we got 25 here in the we got 24 watching on the YouTube. For those of you watching on YouTube, I have never been able to do this, so don't forget to click that like button or smash that like button, click that bell, and subscribe for future videos. Never been able to do that. But yeah, so definitely though. Oh, somebody even said done. Smash that like button. Done. Okay. Was there anything else that you might like to bring up, just so we can start, winding this down and wrap it up? Was there anything else that you might be wanting to bring up, talk about, or sitting on your mind?
I think, well, I just have to say thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it, guys. I think I've just been really impressed by the entire Verus community and what you guys stand for and what you're doing. I do believe the future of crypto is, projects working together and supporting each other. So that's something we're going to continue to do. Very glad to be working close to the Verus project.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming on. For being part of this cross AMA. We definitely have a couple of names in here I've on the Discord I've never seen before. So obviously they've got to be from the SafeCoin Discord, which is very nice, by the way. You guys have it set up really nice. It's really active. There's a lot of people going on there. I spent pretty much most of last night just kind of filtering through it, just listening to people talk. But so Banhammer says you seem like. So I guess you have the 100% authority from Banhammer. So Big Cat says thank you, Jeff. Everybody else in Jim Deb says it's been super cool and thank you very much. But I do want to thank everybody for joining us today on this AMA. There is another AMA coming up in a week. I will be posting that. You can find it on our Twitter page. You can find it at the top of our Discord announcements and stuff like that. Jeff